guys, welcome back to the channel. Just got back from Sacramento, quick family vacation down there for a Union Festival. I was able to stop by 1320 Performance while I was in town. Finally, we wanted to stop by and check out their showroom for quite a while, but was able to stop by this time and picked up some pretty cool pieces that we're going to install in this video today. First off, we got a pretty cool Takara Tomy, kind of a JDM Hot Wheels here, and then we got some knockoff Spoon Sports reservoirs here. Needed a sock on that reservoir, so we picked those guys up for pretty cheap. And then one of the things that I wanted to pick up there that I had bought from their online store before was this Duracon shift knob that they make. So we did pick up this Momo here, Momo Monte Carlo yellow stitch. I wanted the red stitch, but I've had the red stitch on 2 different cars before, so I just wanted to change it up a little bit. And this was one that they had in stock, so I grabbed that. And that's going to replace this old, very old Momo tuner steering wheel. You can see this one is in decent condition for its age. Just wanted to change it up. Unboxing for you guys here. Gotta get this unboxed, unbagged with one hand. More appreciation for automotive YouTubers here. All right, there we go. Momo Monte Carlo 350 mil yellow stitch with the yellow horn button. I don't know, let me know what you guys think. I kind of like it. And then we did order one piece that we got in today that I will show you guys. Put these off to the side. So when I was in the showroom at 1320, I saw that they had a pretty cool piece on the wall, and that was a traction bar. So I went ahead and picked up the traction bar. I ordered it online on my way home, funny enough, because I wasn't sure if it would fit the car. We had a pretty packed car. We're gonna go ahead and get this piece installed. Alright, a receipt and some instructions here. Of course, you guys can't read that. We got an A+ for packaging. Let's assemble this, and then I will show you guys what this looks like. There's quite a bit of assembly that needs to go on with this traction bar. This install here is going to be a little bit more involved than I had originally thought, but there is a picture diagram that they provide here. So I'm going to go ahead and organize the nuts and bolts, the hardware essentially, to match the instructions here. Looks like this hardware doesn't quite match the pictures. See if we can't get a little bit more organized here and make some sense of this chaos. All right, so these instructions are pretty terrible, to be honest. I don't know if they're just outdated, but the picture of the hardware doesn't quite match the bolts that I have, and the descriptions are pretty extensive, seemingly. They don't really make much sense. So hopefully this ends up helping somebody else out. This is the traction bar here, the 1320 performance traction bar, obviously. These are radius arms. You can see that there are kind of notches on one end, but no notches on the other end. I didn't find any verbiage on if one end needs to go to one side or to one end or the other. That is, one side needs to go to the LCA and one side needs to go to the traction bar specifically. I measured the diameter of these and they are identical on both ends. So I guess I'm just gonna match up whichever way I point those. The instructions do call out that the Heim joints here, they are, one is a left hand thread, and I went ahead and labeled it there, left hand, and one, its partner, is a right hand thread. Now the thing is that, and I found this out kind of the hard way, is that these nuts that come with the heim joints are actually right hand and left hand specific as well. I'm sure somebody already knew that, but I did not know that, and I was driving me crazy when I was trying to thread these on, and I could not figure out like why this nut wouldn't thread on left or right. They are specific, so just a heads up on that. So then we'll go ahead and thread these in here. Okay, so we'll go ahead and thread in our heim joint here to a radius arm, right hand. Oh, you know what? Okay, so it looks like maybe, so that was the right hand, and it went towards the side that wasn't notched. So it looks like the radius arms are threaded. I guess that would make sense. I guess the radius arms are threaded for left hand and right hand threads as well. Left hand heim joint here. I'm just going to cinch this all the way down. I guess not cinch, but I'm just going to hand thread this all the way down. Okay, so that's one radius arm pre-assembled. I'll set that off to the side. So that's two radius arms pre-assembled and ready to go. The next thing I want to show you guys is the bolts that go through the radius arms. They need these little dowels here, to go through one of the heim joints here. So I guess we'll just stay consistent. Right hand here. So they kind of sit in there as such. Oops. As such. And then they will go as such. And then obviously we have a bolt that's provided. This is the 60 millimeter long bolt that will kind of feed through. Boom. And then we have our lock washer. So lock washer will go on the other end. So again, this is part of the pre-assembly process here. So that is one arm assembled. Now we're going to do the same thing for that arm. Another 60 mil long bolt. Okay, now for as everything comes toppling off. Okay, now for the other lock washer. Completed pre-assembled radius arm section. I'll go ahead and pick this up here. We'll show you guys a little bit more in detail once everything's assembled. The next thing I wanted to show you guys was kind of the stack. And what I mean by the stack is the bolts that will go into the lower control arm. So this is kind of the assembly that will go into the lower control arms. Quite a bit of pieces, as you can see there, kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on one end, and then 1, 2, 3 on the other end. So here's what I came up with here. So this is kind of the organization of things here. So it'll be this number one. I kind of labeled these bolts here. So it'll be the number one bolt and the A bolt here. A is 55 millimeters and 1 is 50 millimeters. So kind of one taller, one shorter. So it'll kind of go like this here, this sequence. So those two, and then we'll do these locking washers here on 1 and on A. And then what's going to happen is this plate is going to sit in between the two like that. And then it's going to go flat washer. I guess I should show you guys. Flat washer on 1, and then this cylinder spacer on A, and then 5, basically 5 right there, goes into 1, and then the spacer ultimately kind of caps over the 1 like that. And then so this assembly right here will essentially be kind of flipped upside down like that, as you guys can see here, and then the completed kind of assembly will look something like that. This section here, number 1 bolt, is going to go through the heim joint. This spacer right here actually goes perfectly through the heim joint, and then this spacer and bolt A is kind of gonna sit on the second bolt that goes onto the lower control arm. So I hope that makes sense for this assembly. It confused me a little bit. The instructions were a little bit confusing. We still have some pre-assembly left to go. The next thing I want to cover is the front motor mount. So we'll go ahead and get into that. First things first, we are going to be playing with some lube here. So I did find this pack of lubricant. 1320 does not provide any kind of lube. I don't know if the instructions actually say to add any, but I'm going to go ahead and add some, just precautionary. And then that just fits into eye bracket, whatever you want to call it here, like such. And then I'm gonna get the other one going here. There we go. Okay, there we go. So that's that one. And then we have these pins here, which are going to go into the hole here to just kind of complete the assembly of each of these little brackets or mounts. So fully assembled. Not rocket science there. So we'll go ahead and do the same thing to this one, and then get back to you guys. We got these 2 mounts assembled. We'll go ahead and get the jam nuts going on each of these. That's one. Okay, I have no idea how long these are going to end up being, but I just kind of wanted to get them ran down all the way. We have this little piece here, this little center section here. I'm just going to go ahead and start threading, get the other guy started on the other end. Again, right hand thread. So all right, so back with the traction bar with the motor mount assembled here. It's going to go into this slot here. Going to need one of these 60 mil bolts here to go through. Man, there's not much thread protruding on this end, which is a little bit concerning. Okay, let me show you guys what I'm talking about here. There's not much thread here protruding with the 60 mil bolt, which is kind of the longest bolt that we have. See that there is kind of play back and forth. So I'm assuming that if I can get this nylon nut started on one end, that I can kind of cinch this down. Let's try that. I did find a bolt that was just a tad bit longer in length than the one that's provided. A little persuasion there. Nice. Much more thread on this end now than compared to with the bolt that was provided here. Get this. Start cinching down here. That's the pre-assembly right there. So everything's still pretty loose. Obviously, just pre-assembling everything so that once we take the bar to the vehicle, we can do less work. See how I'm going to do this without pinching my fingers. Set this down. And then it's correct orientation here. With this traction bar design, along with others, the mount location will now be here, where the original tow hook location mounted. Just wanted to give you guys a shot of the new location. We got the hardware here, 14 mil bolts here that we're going to feed through these holes here into that traction bar location, or the tow bar location. All right. So now we are going to get this bracket here mounted to the subframe. Okay, the next step is to get this bracket right here mounted to the hole here from the original subframe location. So kind of bolt goes through here, and then looks like it's oval, so hopefully we can get it to align into that hole right there. Okay, so that's what it looks like there. So this bracket right here essentially has holes that goes to the original subframe location, and attaches from the side here onto this bracket. Why they made these separate pieces, I don't know. I guess maybe to allow some play in between. You can see that I'll have to squeeze these. Once I tighten these plates will end up going together. That's how that goes. So I'll tighten this side, and then we'll go ahead and do the same to the other side, and the traction bar install will be almost done. Looks like these are kind of a bolt and nylon lock nut situation here. Let's see if we can close the gap on these two pieces. Yeah, that looks like it's pretty good. Okay, so that's tightened. Now just to repeat the same process for the other side. All right, same process to this side here. We'll get this bolt here threaded into this frame rail here. That bolt there. Bolts are in. The 3 bolts up top are in. I think we're ready to move on to these radius rods. Grab this bundle and we'll start on the driver's side. Okay, cool. So those bits of hardware are going to help us to mount this radius arm here. I did have to play around a little bit with the length of the tie rod, or the radius rod here, to get it to fit properly. So I essentially moved the radius rod threads, or the heim joint threads, kind of back and forth until I found kind of a good balance between the threads on both heim joints, this one and the front one, so that I can get this hole lined up here. It looks like it's in a good position now. I'll grab the hardware and try to get that installed. Practice run here. So heim joint here, this one goes to the lower control arm. Man, I'm saying that a lot. I'm going to slip this one, focus, slip that sleeve right there, that sleeve into the heim joint. But I did take out one of the washers here. That's gonna go there to kind of pin that sleeve in place. So I got basically here, I have washer, sleeve into the heim joint, another washer through the black plate right here, another washer, then the bolt, and then this back here is going to basically be sleeve, black bracket, washer, and the head of the bolt, obviously. So it's going to basically sit like this into the lower control arm. And then, oops, come on. There we go. Okay. Okay. Cool. I think I got it. If these are gonna thread, I think that will be excellent. If they don't, then that's going to suck. So that's what that looks like. The radius arm connecting to the lower control arm, excuse me. I was able to finally get that threaded in, get it all bolted up. Try to get you guys down here to look at what the traction bar looks like here. So that's what the traction bar looks like fully installed. Point you guys up here hopefully to see a little bit of that. So that piece right there, this right here is the motor mount. As you can see, it goes from it took me a second to figure out how I mount it up, but it goes from the traction bar obviously to the top motor mount hole. Yeah, another morning, guys. We got the car down on the ground. Finally, the traction bar installed. Did a quick oil change after I got the traction bar all bolted in, suspension back in. The rotor is back on the front, and I just have to jack up the back here and get the other wheels on the back. Just a little bit of a change up here from the Sparkos. I don't want to burn up these track tires, these 200 treadwear tires, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw the slips back on the car before we drive the car to get in alignment. Oh, I'm gonna be super shaky here since I don't have my gimbal. Ooh, don't do that. Oh man. Sweet. So as you guys can see, I am running an OG Battlecraft knob here. So we're moving to this Duracon knob here. Well, that's what that knob looks like. Go focus. Compared to the Battlecraft there. Get Momo on here just to take a look at it. That's what that looks like. Yeah, I'm not. Oops. Horn works. I'm not sold on the yellow horn button there. You might have to go with a black horn button or see about different options. Let me know what you guys think. All right, guys. So after about a month and a half, 2 months of having all of this 1320 performance stuff in hand, I finally have a chance to get this all installed. The traction bar honestly was an easy install. Something that you could probably knock out overnight. The key is just to keep everything loose. Hope that description of the hardware to the lower control arms helps you guys. It was a little bit confusing to me. The instructions were a little bit confusing. Definitely reach out if you guys end up getting this bar and have any questions. But yeah, otherwise, other than that, I hope this content helps you guys out. Hopefully we'll get some Type R parts here and show you guys around that platform. Go ahead and cut the video off, and I hope to see you guys in the next one.